This is a horror game podcast. It is meant for mature audiences. It may contain adult language, violence, and sexual themes, as well as shocking revelations. Viewer discretion is advised. Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I are playing the Vaesen role-playing game. I'm your host, Thom Raley. The scenario is A Letter from the Past. It was written by Morten Greis and is available on Drive-Thru RPG. Julian Arbaugh is our game master, and this is episode 1. So without any further delay, let's begin our journey into the darkness. Julian. Sorry.
Thank you, Thom. Okay. We begin on a wet and rainy morning in April. We are in Uppsala at Castle Gillenkreutz. Father Nystrom, Torn, and Oscar, you have made your way downstairs, and you find the butler is buttling, and he greets you very warmly. Good morning, good masters. How are you this morning?
Quite well. And how are you?
I am doing very well. I have a nice breakfast laid out for you, and I have some coffee if you're interested.
Wonderful.
Have you heard that we have some new guests at the castle?
I heard last night that a few had arrived. Were they made comfortable?
Oh, yes, absolutely. They seem to be very nice persons. I gave them some decent accommodations and let them to their business. So hopefully they will be down shortly.
Excellent.
You warned them, I trust, about the fairy mound in the backyard. We wouldn't want anybody to trip over that.
I barely mentioned it. I figured it would be best if you all explained the details.
Right.
Yes, I did basically mention to kind of give it a wide berth until further instructions.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah. So at this point, you see Tyler, if you would like to introduce your character.
Sure. I guess coming down the stairs, or out from where he was at, is Eric Jakobsen, about 60 years old, not wearing a suit, but not the nicest suit. He comes into the room and says, "Oh, hello! You must be the other inhabitants here. Am I correct on that? Eric Jakobsen."
Yes. Ah, Mr. Jakobsen, I'm Father Victor Nystrom. Please have a seat.
Oh, Father, it's very good to meet you.
Yes, Oscar. Welcome.
Thank you.
Where have you come from?
Here in Uppsala. I was, how should you say? I was a former doctor, but tried my hand at politics. You may have seen me running for city council, and unfortunately that didn't work. But I was told that some of my gifts, I guess, would be more apt at this location.
What sort of gifts do you have?
I don't want to sound crazy, but I have seen things. I can, sometimes manipulate things outside the realm of, I guess, what normal people would.
I see. We've all seen things. Some of us have fought the devil.
Yes, you have a fondness for bringing that one up, Father.
Well, you're correct. I am far too proud about it. It was God that did the work, not me.
I think it was my gun that did the work, Father.
Your gun did a lot of work, yes.
Let's say there was teamwork involved.
And
Welcome.
thank you. I'm glad to be here and hoping that I can, really learn more about what these things are and what they may or may not have to offer.
Well, we offer you the advice. There are a few things. Perhaps I'll wait for some of them until the rest of those. There was another one, wasn't there? A lady.
Yes, there was. I believe I hear her now, coming through the door.
Uh, yes. So sorry to keep you all waiting. My name is Osa Bernard's daughter. I'm coming from Reykjavik. It's a pleasure to meet you, gentlemen.
All the way
You as
from
well.
Iceland. Welcome.
Yes. I've heard much about your exploits and the work that you've done on this castle. I've experienced some strange things recently, and I was told to seek you all out. That you may be able to that we may be able to uncover the mysteries of our gift as Thursday children.
Well,
Oh,
it's something to bear in mind that should you encounter anything odd or strange, understand that we will probably believe you. We've seen things ourselves. Two cautions now that you're both here. There is a large mound on the back property. It is most definitely inhabited by certain types of Vaesen, uh, what you might call a fairy. There is a fairy queen who lives there, and we occasionally give them gifts of sweets and fruit. And this keeps a gentle truce between us. They've also, with added gifts, they can sometimes answer our questions, but best to just leave it alone.
Yes, and on the topic of wings, they're very sensitive to that.
They're quite sensitive to everything. And the other thing is our castle itself. We ourselves have not completely explored Castle Gillinkrish. It's an odd building, and there are sometimes shiftings. And so I would suggest that if you go snooping about, which you are welcome to do, take someone with you, because it might be harder finding your way back than you think.
I appreciate the advice.
Yes, thank you. Are the Vaesen here dangerous?
Well,
The fairies, again, the situation with the fairies has been largely resolved. We haven't had too many problems here at the castle itself with Vaesen, but we've have run into them here from time to time. Some may be here still locked away in some unknown corner.
were you here when we had the Revenant? We had
Yes.
we're not the first people to have lived in this castle. And some of the previous people played around with dangerous forces. And one of them was left in the castle. So we don't know if there's other stuff up there. Be careful.
Yes. Well, my experience with the Vaesen is somewhat limited, but I was performing an amputation on a gentleman, and his limb grew back almost immediately after I had cut it off. So I've seen some horrific things that this world is capable of. I'm glad to hear that caution is warranted around this.
Well, our exploits are kept in the annals. There's an extensive library. There's a chapel if you want to pray. Uh, there's a garden. We grow fresh herbs. Uh, Kitchen, of course, and most of the other things. There's an armory as well. thanks to Thom, who keeps stocking it with larger and larger weapons.
I told you the cannon was a necessity, and did they listen to me? No. I mean, some people would still have a few more fingers had we been able to use cannons against those suits of armor, but alas, I rest my case. I do have my dear beloved cannon in the arsenal. Not as beloved as my dogs, though. Are you fond of dogs, either of you?
Oh, yes, yes. I had several dogs back in Reykjavik.
Yes, and
Yes, absolutely.
you should visit the kennel sometime.
Mm.
We've got quite a few hounds here at this point.
So I do hope you all are enjoying breakfast.
Yes, thank you.
You're very welcome. I did collect the Morning Post, and I do have a very interesting package that has arrived this morning. And the butler produces, a pretty thick, wrapped in heavy paper with twine. It is addressed to Andre Lynn, Castle Gillencrutz, Uppsala.
Andre,
I wonder if
Do you
an
know
old
this
member
man?
of the society.
possibly. Um, well, I suppose we'll have to open it and see.
Yes, I think
Hopefully
we are
it's-
Andre's proper heirs at this point, if it's addressed
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, it's to Andre Lynn, but it is from a Albert Nielsen, Vaster Nordland County, Svartviken.
No, to one of the other branches. Is that, can we assume that?
You don't know
Oh,
where this
I
came
don't
from.
know. Okay.
Yeah.
Possibly one of the other branches.
Worth looking for both names in the annals.
So I'm not so sure. It seems like every time we open up one of these, we end up running for our lives from something, but I suppose we should go ahead and do it.
Hope there isn't a
So
long
I will-
train ride involved.
I will carefully undo the wrapping so as not to rip the paper,
Okay.
because one could reuse it.
Is
Yeah.
there it's stamped and dated, the package?
Yes, yeah, it looks like that fairly recently. I don't know how long it takes the post back then to work, but we'll say it's in a reasonable time.
A week, probably.
A week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's have at it. I will carefully open it.
Yeah. So you open it up, and it is an old book. The title of the book is Records of Distinguished Families and Their Lands in Sweden for Insight and Understanding.
Sounds innocent enough.
Yep. If you open the book, you find that it's a bibliographical work of noble and priestly families in Sweden from about 1523 to 1778. It mostly lists people when they're born, married, passed away, in addition to their estates and lands around Sweden, actually. But there's one part of the book that you do find a portion of a letter that is stuck in the book.
Let's see, to Andre Lynn of the Society. It is with great gratitude that I return this book. It has been an invaluable guide for me on my travels, and I have acquired a great and rich insight into our country's proud families and glorious past. I had hoped that we would meet again and that I could share my experiences with you. What have I not seen? I hope the promise to contribute my notes to your collection can make up for my long loan of the book, and that I only now will be sending it back. It has long been a faithful companion to me. For a historian with my interests, it is a valuable book, but I doubt you have missed it. Maybe that is why I've been holding on to the book for so long. This will be my last letter.
And examining the page, you're able to tell that you're missing the bottom half
Oh,
of this
odd that
letter.
Very
the letter is half
peculiar.
missing.
Yes, through the pages. Maybe the other half is torn off and also included.
Let's
I mean,
I'll thumb through it.
he managed to wrap it and address it, so it's not as though.
Yeah, you search through the book, but you don't find any additional slips of paper that are inside the book.
Do I happen to notice any notations?
Oh, yes. Yes, the book is actually filled with notations, all in through the margins of this particular book. And there is one particular page where the letter was found, which talks about the Eklovs. And you notice that it references the town Svartviken.
The head of the family, Gustav Alexander Eklov, and his son Olaf Wilhelm accompanied the king in the war against the Russians in 1788. In 1790, the third year of the war, both Gustav and Olaf fell in Finland. The estate's lands were managed by Catherine Britta Eklöf, who died from consumption, and the young daughter, Charlotta Margareta, who was just 16 when she buried her mother. This is where our knowledge of the family ends. It is as if the Eklöf family disappears from our history books. I owe much to K. Olsen and E. Lindqvist for these tales. Right, so these are Albert's notes. And he continues, the priests in the neighboring parishes preached in the years after the Reformation against Eklöf's old customs. These must have been traditions from the Papist era that the family had not yet put behind them. The priest, Ericus Corolai, has complained that Eklöf's sons found their spouses among the ruler of the forest daughters, while the priest Petrus Horneus complained that the Eklöf family did not find their wives among the noble families, but fetched them deep in the forests. Albert's research was curious. So Eklöf's castle was founded near Svartviken. According to a diploma, the foundation happened before the Reformation, and the castle must have been built before 1527. At the royal behest, Henricus Elkhoved Eklöf received the lands to protect the extraction of ore from robbers. Henricus Elkhoved Eklöf was followed by Stefan Eklöf, who was followed by Ericus Eklöf, whose two sons, Abel and Frederick, one after the other took over the estate, and after them followed Bonde Wilhelm Eklöf, who only held the estate for 3 years before his uncle Peter Gustav Eklöf took over the lands. Gustav Alexander Eklöf followed him. He had a son, Olaf Wilhelm. So Olaf and Gustav both died in Finland during the war, however. A great family fallen?
What was that bit too about them not marrying the locals, but finding their women deep in the woods?
Yeah.
Seems very strange for a man of high such stature to not marry into a noble family and go for, I don't know what you have here, Laplanders or people outside of the norm.
This notion about wives from deep in the woods, I've spent a great deal of my life in our woods, and it's not like there's a great many people there.
No, the daughters of the king of the forest, however, sounds rather more like our neighbors in the mound.
Yes, that's what I was getting at.
Well, you have to admit that it also sounds like the beginning of many fairy tales with, people the stories of people marrying outside of their clan that happen to be spirits.
The person writing these notes knew of the society and had borrowed a book from them, so they seem to be somewhat in the know about Vaesen, so to speak. we don't know why exactly this fellow has been going around Sweden investigating these old families, but it may be that he's returning this book because he's finally found what he's looking for.
Or
Yeah,
it
he
also
did.
may be that he's getting old.
Well, I mean, there's something rather grim about the line, "This will be my last letter," and then the thing being torn in half.
Mhm. Like we have somewhat of a mystery on our hands.
Well, if we go look at a map, how far away is Svartviken?
It takes you a while to even find it on the map. Um, but you figure that it's a 2-day journey north.
Hmm.
Oscar,
Well,
are
at least it's
you
not a 5-day journey.
Yeah, I wish things would happen more convenient to Uppsala, that's all.
not a fan of trains?
No, I'm not a fan of being cooped up. Hulda and I like to be on our feet.
Does the
But
train even make it out to this village?
No,
Uh,
no,
Have to get
no.
close and then
It's a boat ride to Sundsvall, and then you take a carriage the rest of the way.
Oh, I was hoping that we would be hiking through the. I'm now slightly disappointed.
Don't want to go on a boat ride?
I prefer the woods and trees.
here.
as long as they don't have giant baby-headed monsters in them.
Don't even bring it up. My dreams have finally cleared up. Well, let's have a look in the library and see what we can learn about Svartviken and the Nielsen's and the Eklöfs. Although
And
this is
Andre
probably more
Lynn.
information.
I'd like to know more about this Andre Lynn person as well.
Okay. Andre Lynn, very easy to find out information about him. He was a librarian at the castle over 20 years ago. Um, and so that's pretty easy to find out, actually. Albert Nielsen is also pretty easy to find information on him as well. He is known for his work on Swedish noble families. So he typically will produce different bibliographical texts on them. And you do find a reference where he did borrow the book 24 years ago. So if nothing else,
Kidding
the
about
late
it being
fees.
overdue.
Yeah. Going after the late fees might even be worth the trip just to get it.
So it's just now getting returned to the castle. I wonder who sent it. Was it him?
I mean, I don't know who else other than this Albert Nielsen.
Perhaps that's a clue as to why the letter is torn. Maybe this was found by one of his relatives and sent here. Be interesting to visit.
Why would that explain it, the letter being torn?
Oh, maybe it was torn in the past or never quite got sent and sat around for a while. Does the paper look new or does it look weathered and old?
Yeah, the paper does look, despite the coloring on the handout, it does look like it's recently
Fairly
penned.
new.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I retract that idea.
Yeah, maybe he is still alive. I just find it very strange that he sent back about 24 years later. That's
I'm curious why he
excessive.
borrowed it in the first place. I mean, he talks vaguely about his research and he has notes about families with possible ties to forest spirits or something, and then returns the book.
Well, and I also hate to bring it up once again, as I have brought up in the past. We now have certain enemies in amongst the Vaesen.
Oh,
So we should make sure this isn't some sort of trap. It seems innocent enough, but who knows?
I mean, going to the trouble of annotating a whole book that we have records was on loan.
As I say, it seems very innocent. Perhaps it's worth a trip. We'll visit, see if the family
do
knows more.
Do you all think that the fairies in your backyard might have some information about Svartviken, or would it be worth consulting
If
with them before we sojourn out?
I am
if
very
the
curious what the ruler of the forest might refer to.
the queen might know, then again, she
Right, but
might not. No.
she's been a little bound to her mound for the last several years.
Yeah. Um, do we have enough supplies to appease them for the information?
Well, we could
We'll have
have
to
the butler
bake
make some cakes or something. They do like the sweet things.
those bran muffins with honey, quite popular. Well, I mean, we don't have anything else to do. There's nothing on a regular schedule. This sounds like it might be an enjoyable vacation. What time of year is it?
It's April, and the
Oof,
weather's been a bit wet.
gray and rainy. Yeah,
Yeah.
and probably still a little cold.
Yeah.
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 So,
Well, I'm prepared for an adventure.
Okay.
I am as well.
Okay. Do you guys want to do some resource rolls and
yes.
figure out what kind of equipment you want to take on your journey?
Yeah. Forget, how do you roll for resources?
It's the number of dice on your character sheet, I think, if I remember correctly.
Like four, like, yeah, so like our resource number, we would roll
Yeah.
that amount of dice. Okay.
Yeah, that amount of dice.
Oh, and it's the number of sixes that we get, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I rolled a 0. 6s.
Yeah, I rolled 0 6s. Well,
I got one success.
Okay. Oscar?
I'm a vagabond.
Oh, okay.
I very rarely contribute resource wise.
Yeah.
We've got
Well,
a couple of resources.
yeah. You've also got some things out of you've got the armory where you can pick up a weapon if you wanted to, and things like that. So it looks like you guys can pick up some few items that you might be interested in. Resource level 1. So what kind of things are you thinking you might want to take with you?
Well, at this point, it just seems like a trip to get information. So I think Torin will say dynamite and firearms, but let's see. Oh, look at these. Well, how about, I mean, we could bring medical equipment.
yeah, I'm
You're a
bringing my
doctor,
doctor's
right?
bag. Yeah, I'm bringing my doctor's bag with my basic kind of
Okay.
medical equipment, pain relievers,
Yeah.
bandages, some saws,
Okay.
things like that.
Yeah.
The thing to keep in mind, like with our castle upgrades, we also get some provisions, or we can get certain provisions for free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can.
So we don't have to spend if since Ulsa is a doctor, we don't have to spend anything to
correct.
bring the medical equipment.
That's correct. Yeah. Anything that's like on your character sheet is automatic. You've got that with you.
Okay.
This is just kind of like an opportunity to get other things that you may not have.
Oh, could bring a map book.
Yeah, an
Since it's kind
atlas
of an
or a
app.
map would be
That's
nice.
that's two resources.
Okay.
We don't have to spend our resources immediately.
That's true too.
We might need to get something that we don't anticipate in Svartviken. So we might
Yep.
want to just keep our resources until we actually get on the scene. We don't know quite exactly what it is that we're dealing with, so trying to prepare beforehand seems like we could go in the wrong direction.
Okay. So you guys ready to head out on your journey?
Yes.
Yes, let me
Great.
go get Gustav.
And Hulda, I'll fetch Hulda. Do we know how large a community Svartviken is?
It's barely
It's-
on the map, so
it's
It's hard.
barely on the map. You actually had to go back to about like a 1780s map to even find it. Where it
Hmm.
references a
There's a-
castle, but not really the town.
might be a few
I know.
farmers, and that's it.
What year is it now?
What year do you guys are you?
It's like 16, isn't it?
Or is it 18?
Oh,
I thought it was early
1816.
18s.
18,
Like the 1860s.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
railroad. Yeah,
yeah,
has to be. Yeah.
1860s.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Alrighty. So
Yeah.
you guys set out, and it's cold rain, wind is blowing. It's not very conducive to travel, but you guys make your way anyway. You get on a boat and you head north through the sea. The sea is not a pleasant trip, but you manage to make it through just the same. You make your way all the way to Sundsvall, which is in Västernorrland County on the coast. And there you can find a gentleman who will drive you in a carriage all the way to your destination. And he says, "Yeah, I can do that. It's about a 2-day journey. We'll have to stay overnight. I know a nice place in Sando that we can stay."
Wonderful.
But yeah,
I want to ask the driver, what do you know about Svartviken?
not a whole lot. It's kind of a wide spot in the road. I mean, you kind of have to go there. Don't really pass through it to go anywhere else. It's just not a very interesting place, unfortunately.
It was a mining outpost, we understand.
Yeah. There used to be some mining in the area, copper mines, I believe. Yeah, but I don't think they have any big mines up in that area anymore. I think most of their industry is more timber related nowadays.
I see. About how many people live there?
It's a pretty small town. Maybe 200-300 at the most. It's not very big. Yeah.
Have there been any visitors there besides us recently?
It's been a long time. It's been a long time since I've made a trek there. I tell you. So
Yes. Must be strange to have all of us headed there en masse.
yeah, I don't know. Hey man, your money spent's good. I don't ask too many questions, you know.
Yes, indeed.
But yeah, we should have a good journey, and you do. Your journey up to Sando is uneventful. It's kind of rough and bumpy as you go along. When you get to Sando, it is, as the driver said, it's nice accommodations. Now, the next morning when you wake up, the rain has subsided. It's still very wet, but it seems like it's going to be a nicer drive up the road. And you climb in your carriage and off you go. The journey is again rough and rambly as you're kind of bopping through the road. And once you get so far up the road, something hits the carriage quite hard, and you hear a crack of lumber, and the horses neigh, and the the carriage comes to a complete stop, and you hear the driver has probably been thrown from the carriage.
Oh my God.
I'll get
quickly.
I'll get my gun.
I'm grabbing my medical bag and I'm gonna head out to
Yeah.
see if he's okay.
Yeah. You get outside and you find the driver. He has been thrown from the carriage. He's bleeding from the head. Looks pretty hurt.
Oh my God. I'm gonna immediately start assessing him.
I want to get what struck us.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah. You look at the carriage itself, and it looks like a root has come up from the road and wrapped itself around the axle and broken some of the suspension on the carriage.
Oh
That's
dear.
not natural.
No. I'll whistle for Gustav to get out of the car. The carriage.
Okay. He comes to your side.
All right, I want to start smelling like around the road. Did somebody like has there been somebody?
Yeah. As you kind of like walk along the road, you're looking out. The forest in this area is very thick. You don't see any houses, and actually, you don't really remember seeing any houses for about an hour. And Gustav, looks a bit nervous as he's standing by your side. He seems like he is getting a sense of something that's around him that he doesn't like.
What is it, Gustav? What is it?
My dog also, would be sniffing around. Is there a direction that is drawing the dog's attention, or are they looking around in circles?
The dogs are looking around in circles. They're trying to get a direction, but they can't. And as you all stand there and you're looking at your dogs, and you get the sense that there's movement in the wood around you. You can hear the creaking of the branches. And strangely, you don't hear any birds.
Yeah,
In fact,
is very
there isn't any wildlife sounds, but you can hear like the rustling of the trees around you. And it just feels very odd.
How straight is this track through the woods? Can we see a distance in any direction, or is it winding between?
It's a winding road. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so not too much distance, no.
Well, this is not always a good thing.
No, we have no idea how far we have to travel. And I don't know that we can repair this axle.
And our driver is desperate for attention.
This man is quite injured. Can I roll medicine? Is that
okay? You can totally roll medicine. And
so how those rolls work, I combine my attribute plus the skill.
Plus any relevant equipment.
Yeah.
And any relevant equipment. Okay. And then what with the equipment, how does that work? Like how many die do I add for that?
So it would be like what the equipment is. So like for instance, if I fire my gun, I have my precision plus my range combat plus my rifle gives me +2.
Okay. I didn't find the die for my doctor's bag. Julian, I don't know if you would know what that is, like off the top of your head.
Yeah, I think I would definitely give you like a +1 at the very least. Yeah, so that would give you an extra die.
Okay.
It's actually a +2.
Is it +2? Okay, great.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, so I get a 10.
Ah,
Okay.
there
And
it
then
is.
I count the sixes.
Yes.
Okay. I rolled 10 dice, didn't get a single six. Okay.
Oh no.
That's-
Well,
Can I push it?
your work is definitely appreciated by the gentleman, and you could tell that he's hurt, but he's probably not going to die on you.
Okay, so he's conscious.
He is conscious. Yeah, he's just bleeding. He's probably got like a broken arm. He just is in bad shape. Um, and he can tell you that, you're not very far from your destination.
Oh,
So, yeah, you guys can probably lead the horses along, not ride in the carriage, but lead the horses along and put him in the carriage, and you could probably make it the rest of the way.
We can disentangle then the axle.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can definitely get it loose, but it's tied in there. It's grabbed on to your carriage.
Yeah, seems like something doesn't want us here.
Or once is here, but not there. Does the equipment that comes on the carriage, does that include a hatchet or anything?
That makes sense to me. Yeah.
Yeah, let's cleave this route off rather than trying to wrestle it. I'll crawl under there and
Eric,
Yes.
this route in the road doesn't seem terribly natural. Do you have any means by which you could determine its source?
I could try. Julian, is there like a skill that would allow me to look at, to see if I knew what this was, what could have done this, or if there was any magic involved?
Yeah, you could do a vigilance roll,
Okay.
actually.
I'm going to say some prayers.
No successes.
Okay.
It's nothing that I've heard of, but I agree that this is quite unnatural. You don't usually see roots wrapping themselves around the axles of carriages. I think once we get into town, we may get more information. I'm hoping, anyways.
Okay, well, I will kiss my lucky's rabbit foot and say, I'll take point.
All right. So Torn is taking point. The rest of you are probably with the carriage walking up this road. Um, the rest of your journey is normal, but you can't help but look to your left and your right and the trees and how everything just seems to be very big, and you seem to be very small as you're walking along. After about an hour's worth of walk, you finally make your way into the town or the village of Svartviken. The dirt road that you're on becomes a cobblestone pathway, which leads into an unusually large town square. Around the town square are several very large, very expensive looking houses. There is also a statue of a knight over that way, just a little bit. There's a very large, nice tavern in this little town as well.
We expected.
Yeah. There's some people in the town square. You can see there's like some farmers over to your left that have like their carts set up to sell vegetables. You see some people milling about, kids running around in the street. Seems like a very normal village, except it's a very large square. surrounded by very expensive houses.
Now, is this the first place that we were stopping on the way to
Nope.
Svartviken?
Nope, you've arrived.
This
Oh.
is Svart.
This
This
is
is it. This is it.
Okay. Well, they seem to have more money than I thought they had.
yeah, I was not expecting this level of wealth. I'm sure they probably have a doctor's office, so I'm going to try and find like the local clinic or doctor's office if they have one.
Yeah, as you kind of come into the square, you see a boy about 16 comes over to you, and he says, "I looks like you guys are having some trouble. Can I help?"
Yes, young man. Is there a local doctor or a nurse?
Yeah, we've got there's a lady I can take you to. Do you have somebody that's injured?
Yes. Our driver was injured on the way up here, and I think he's stabilized, but he could use with a place to rest and get some bandaging for his wounds.
Yeah, absolutely. I can help you out. I work at my name's Carl. I'm a stable boy at the tavern, so I can help you out.
Oh, lovely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Very much appreciate your hospitality.
Of course. Yeah. You should come by the tavern. We've got rooms available.
Yes, we'll be needing that. Thank you.
Need
Excellent.
places for these horses.
Oh, absolutely. I can take care of them. I'm good with horses.
Lovely. And I'm going to take the driver over to the clinic.
Yeah. Carl can give you directions and he'll take care of the horses. I'm sorry, Oscar, did you have something you wanted to say?
We should probably leave him in the carriage and take the horses in the carriage to the doctor, but that's just so Carl, just the driver doesn't have to walk. There's this large square, there's fancy houses, there's a tavern. Is there a church?
Carl will tell you that there isn't a church in this town, that people go over to the next town over, which is Nassum, I believe is how it's pronounced.
No.
He said that's where everybody goes to church. It's about 3 miles down the road.
It leads me to believe this might be a merchant's town. Perhaps the other town was founded first and then the merchants moved here.
It's a very impressive statue. Who's the knight?
And Carl kind of laughs a little bit and he says, "Oh, well, so the Borklands," and he points to one of the houses and he says, "The Borklands, the old man, he's dead now, but he fancied himself a knight. He'd like to ride around in town, dressed all up, and that's him. He put it up himself." Yeah.
I see. Little
Yeah.
personal mythology. This is copper money, I'm assuming?
I don't know where their money came from, actually. Yeah, I have no idea. As far as I know, they've always been here.
We, in addition to wanting to stay at your tavern for a few nights, we're looking for a fellow named Nielsen, Albert Nielsen. You don't happen to know him, do you? He could be staying at your tavern.
And, well,
A bookish little fellow. Older.
yeah, I kind of remember that guy. He asked a lot of questions, didn't he? Yeah.
That would be in keeping. Yeah.
Yeah, he asked a lot of questions. Nice guy. Haven't seen him for quite a while, though.
Oh, quite a while, like a few weeks or longer.
Maybe a month, I guess. Not sure. I don't know. It's just been a while since I've seen him.
Not a regular at the tavern then.
Yeah, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure. I guess he stayed at the tavern. I think that's where he stayed. Well, he'd have to, wouldn't he?
Unless he had family or something in town. I don't. He's a friend of a friend.
Okay. Yeah, maybe you could talk to the owners. Maybe they might know better. They deal with the guests a little bit more than I do.
Carl, we've
Thank
also
you.
heard that there's a castle near here, Eklov Castle. How
Oh
far
yeah.
away is that?
Oh, it's about a 2 hour walk from here.
Okay.
You'd have to take a trail. I can show it to you. It's not too hard to find, but it's up through the woods. You got to walk up through the woods.
All
Yeah.
right. Thank you.
You're welcome. And he
Speaking
settled
of
scuttles.
in.
woods, our friend Torn here is a hunter. How's the birding around here?
Oh, it's pretty good, I
Ample
guess.
game?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
In the forest we drove through, it seemed as though there was hardly a bird singing in the branches.
Oh,
Maybe it's the weather.
might be. The weather's been funky lately.
Hmm.
How so?
It's just weird weather. Some of the farmers they've been complaining about their crops not growing properly. So,
Were you born here, Carl?
yep, sure was.
Seems like a prosperous place for some little spot that's kind of out of the way of things.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we these families here, and he points to all the big houses. He says, "Yeah, these families, we pretty much that's kind of what we do. We work for them. Uh, that's pretty much the economy of the town is to provide support to these families."
Mm. So the Borklands have been rich forever. What did the other people? How did they make their fortunes?
Uh, I don't know. I mean, for as long as I can remember, they've always had money. They just live off their money. I don't know if they have any actual job.
Mm. Yeah, well, I feel like bankers usually live in cities. It's maybe they did well enough they could come out here where the life is cheap.
Maybe so. I don't know. I've never been that far away. Yeah. Where are you from?
Oh,
Uppsala.
Uppsala.
Oh my. Oh, that's a big town. I don't know if I'd like that or not.
It can be could be overwhelming at times, certainly.
Yeah.
And when you're used to the quiet of a place like this.
Yeah. Well, maybe I'll get there one day.
Yeah. Travel broadens the mind.
Well, let's settle in and get the
Yeah,
horses
once we've got
in the livery.
the driver in good hands.
Yeah.
If they've got anything to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah, damp travel does whet the appetite.
Yeah, you can go into the tavern.
Yeah.
It's a really nice tavern. Um, and when you walk into like the main room, which is kind of like a mixture of the dining room and the bar. And there's some folks having a meal, having some drinks. And you can see that there's a lady behind the bar who is clearly in charge. And you can walk up to her and she'll introduce herself as Ingrid Hansen. Um, it's really nice to have you guys here. We're have plenty of rooms. Are you interested in staying with us for a bit?
Yes, a few days.
Oh, excellent, excellent, excellent. We currently don't have any other guests, so we can give you your own room if you're interested.
Luxury.
Very nice.
Yeah. So what brings you all to town?
We're looking for somebody.
Oh,
A friend.
Albert
okay.
Nielsen. You might have stayed here.
Albert Nielsen. Yes, he did. He did stay here.
How long ago has that been?
Oh, let me look at the book. And she pulls out the book and she looks at it and she says, "Well, it looks like he checked in about a month ago." Yeah.
Did he ever check back out?
Uh, Well, according to the book, he didn't, but I haven't seen him in quite a while, so he must have. He paid his bill.
It's Bill.
Hmm.
We're old friends, and he had mentioned, I guess he was traveling about doing research on various families and so forth, and
Yep.
he sent us a small letter.
Oh, okay.
And we just thought that we'd come out here and see him. So we'll stay here and we'll take a look around and some of the
Did
notes he made.
yeah. Did he you said he didn't check out. Did he leave his items in his room?
No,
No.
I don't think so.
He took everything. Okay.
Yeah, I
He
don't think
paid
so.
up his bill. So
Yeah, he paid his bill. So yeah, but yeah, I do remember him. He, asked a lot of questions. Golly, he asked a lot of questions.
yes.
Yeah,
He's
he's a
really,
historian.
but a nice guy. Nice guy.
So the fact that you haven't seen him, did you actually see him leave, or did you just notice one day that he was no longer here?
Well, I mean, he would come and go, every day and whatnot. But yeah, I guess one day I just sort of realized that he wasn't here.
I suppose he paid his bill, and then maybe in the evening or the morning early he left, and
Could have, could have.
nobody saw him.
Yeah. As long as he paid his bill and he didn't make a mess, I'm happy. I
Yeah, I must say your tavern here is quite well maintained.
Oh,
Very, very, very pleasant.
oh yes,
Uh,
thank
we're
you very
from
much.
we're from Uppsala, the big city, but
Oh,
um, we honestly didn't expect to see such a beautiful town out
oh
here.
yes, yes,
You're hard to find on the map. Maybe your
yes. We are.
town fathers like it that way.
Maybe so, maybe so. We have it all. We owe it all to the rich families out here. They're the ones that keep everything going. So everything you see that we have is all because of them. Yep.
Do I
So
detect
how
any sense of like sarcasm, like bitterness towards the rich people, given that she's a working lady?
Um, there's probably a little bit there, um, just because we've got that little bit of a class conflict kind of
Uh,
thing. Um, but she really just sort of tries to keep a good straight face about it. Yeah.
yeah, she's not complaining too much because she's got a nice place to work and you know.
Yeah.
I was also told that you don't have a church in town. Are
No.
there any chapels or anything?
We don't have a church here in town. Like we all go over to the nearest town over. They've got a nice church over there. My husband and I, we go every Sunday, and it's really nice. Um,
Good.
but yeah, that's where pretty much everybody goes for church. Yeah.
Well, we'll be joining your congregation during that time if it
Well,
comes to it.
be excellent. That would be excellent. We'd love to have you.
Well, I'm going to go unpack and settle in.
Okay. Yep. She gives you keys to your rooms. Okay.
And as soon as I'm done with that, I'll come back downstairs and
Okay.
get a table, and
Do the
assume everybody
rooms
will join me.
do the rooms look I guess as well furnished as the rest of what we've seen so far?
They do. They do. The furnishings in the rooms are not brand new, but you could tell that they're well maintained. Um, yeah, yeah. But she can serve you some drinks. She can serve you some food. The food is good. Drinks are good too. Um, like I said, there's some folks in here who are kind of eyeing you, as folks in rural towns do, eye the new folks. They don't seem threatening. They're just curious.
So I assume that the meal is something like some kind of game bird, bread and cheese.
You get some bread and cheese. There is a bay nearby, a large body of water, and so they actually do have some fish
Fish.
available. Yeah,
Oh, very nice.
yeah.
Well, if these are the types of investigations that you all go on, I think I could get used to this.
Oh, this is the pleasant part.
Yeah, this
When
is
we trek
quite
out to
lovely.
that castle, I fear you'll see the unpleasant part of the business.
Yeah.
I plan to make ample use of that warm private room while I have all of my limbs and my soul is intact. So, I don't have to go upstairs and unpack because I'm a vagabond. I
Right.
carry a small bindle. I don't have luggage. So, when Father Nystrom goes upstairs, I'm just going to order an ale and basically look amiably around until the local who's most direct about staring at me,
Mhm.
and I make contact, and then I'm going to join him or invite him to join me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's actually two guys at the bar, and at some point they just see you looking at them, and they're looking at you, and the one guy just waves at you to come over.
Right. Cheers.
Cheers. How are you
This is,
today?
The travel was a little rough, but we've arrived. And this place is so out of the way and seldom talked about. We didn't expect to see such fancy digs and comfortable accommodations.
Yeah, yeah. We've got a nice little town here. Very nice little town here.
And everyone says it's all because the Borklands and other families can be so generous with their ducats, and that everything is so well maintained. But what do they do to make all this money?
Well, I mean, I don't know. As far as I know, they've always had the money. Uh, they just live off their income. I don't know that they actually do any work of any amount. Um, no,
Does does some carriage wheel into town every quarter and drop off a sack of gold for each of them? How do they?
yeah, I don't know, but I will tell you this. Now, my grandpa used to tell a story, and he said that these rich families were not. And he stops for a minute and looks around, and he says, "These rich families were not always rich, and that they suddenly came into money."
Mhm.
But he never did have. My grandpappy never could tell me where they got the money.
Hmm.
He didn't know.
Well, it's like some old wives' tale, somebody finds a goose that lays golden eggs, or
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
uh, when people from the village go into the next town for church on Sunday, do the rich families take carriages over and make a grand show of visiting church for a service?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They go. They do go. Yeah, absolutely.
So they didn't make a deal with the devil. We can take comfort in that.
Well, I don't know. But I don't know if they did that or not. I have no idea. But yeah, they do go to church. Yeah, go to church.
We came in from the forest on the south side here, where the dirt track goes to
Yeah.
Name of previous town that I've forgotten.
Naso.
Solon? So
So yeah, something like that.
the place we spent last night. Who does the post come down that road, or who maintains that track?
That's kind of it's kind of like a shared responsibility between the towns. So we kind of get together and do some volunteer work and whatnot like that. Yeah.
Yeah, we our carriage ran into a large, gnarly, exposed tree root, and it did enough damage that we had to limp into town, and the carriage will need
Yeah.
repair before the driver can leave. I wonder if that thing just sprouted, or do you have trouble like that?
Well, it's funny you mention that because uh, some of the loggers have talked about strange things going on in the woods here in the last, I don't know, 2, 3 weeks.
Hmm.
Yeah, they've been hearing things, having really weird experiences. Been saying crazy things like the woods are watching them, and
And
pranks,
these,
things like pranks. Yeah,
all right, and these are men who know their way around the forest. These aren't, you
yeah,
know, turnip farmers who get lost in the woods. That's
right.
mighty strange. 2 or 3 weeks ago is about how long ago our friend Albert was last seen in town. Did you notice a funny little fellow, bookish, ink-stained fingers, always asking questions?
I think he talked to everybody, actually.
Mhm.
Uh, he was talking to everybody in town, wanted to know all their family history and everything, actually. Poor old Emily Lindquist, he wore her out, I tell you.
Yep.
She's she's the second oldest person in town, so he spent a lot of time with her.
Uh, yeah, that would draw him, I'm sure. Um, how often do you get post and send out post?
We usually get it uh, once a week. Seems to be fairly regular up this way.
And oh, I see some of my friends are coming down. Uh, do you have any? Do any of you who's living in the castle out a ways, the Eckloff place?
The Eklov place? Nobody
Uh,
lives up there. That place is a ruin.
uh, uh,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, we'll need to have a look at those ruins. I am half afraid our little friend Albert fell down a flight of stairs there.
Yeah, I think I remember him talking about wanting to go up there and visit. A lot of us tried to tell him not to go because it's just a big pile of rocks up there. Nobody goes up there.
Do your grandfather remembers when the rich people got rich. Does he remember any of the Eckloffs? Or is that before his time?
I think he might have remembered him a little bit. He didn't talk too much about him. Uh, yeah, I tell you though, Emily is old enough to
Hmm.
remember the Eklovs. Yeah, she usually sits out there in the square feeding the birds.
Yeah, good. And if she's the second oldest lady in town, you said?
Yes, second oldest lady in town. Yeah.
She'll be easy to spot, I imagine.
Oh yeah, yeah, she is.
This is one of my companions, Father Newstrom. He'll happily buy you another beer.
Oh, excellent.
Hello, hello.
Thank you, Father.
Yes, we've all been excited to be here. It's a beautiful little tavern. Um, we're going to probably go and take a look at the castle, weather permitting, um, just to see it.
Okay. I mean, if you want to, you can. Like I said, nobody really goes up there. But hey, it's your time.
It's rare that you can find old ruins out in these places, but they do exist. Both of them have been left to nature, as it were.
Yeah, yeah.
And considering that those who used to live there sometimes defiled nature in the process, it's perhaps a fitting end to their stories. Please, let's have some more to drink.
Yeah.
It's the rest of our friends.
Yeah, invite your friends over. We'll talk to them too. You guys seem like a nice group of people.
You, by chance, do you have any? I've studied in the past certain folklores. Do you have any interesting stories? Any ghosts or, God forbid, werewolves running the woods, or any stories to keep the children from wandering?
Yeah, yeah, I could tell you a story about the woods. Sure. Uh, so there was a guy out in the woods. We'll call him Sven. And Sven was cutting wood one day. And he got the urge he had to go take a big shit. So he laid a log up to hang his ass across it. But while he's kind of there in a compromising position, this beautiful woman comes out of nowhere. Like, where the hell is this woman come from, right? She comes out and she starts to act all provocative around Sven. He gets all flustered and because he's trying to do his business. And that's when he notices she's got a tail hanging down in her petticoat.
Ah.
And Sven says to her, he says, my dear, it looks like your petticoat is showing. And she grinned great big and she says, oh, I'm sorry. And then she steals his trousers and runs off.
And is this an old legend, or is this something that somebody told you?
It's something somebody told me. Yeah.
Interesting.
Did
thank you.
Sven come out of the woods wearing a shrubbery?
Yes, he did. And everybody laughed at him too. But yeah.
Have you, go ahead, Father.
I was just going to say, I believe if you're going to match that to certain legends about that we have here, it would probably be a woodwife, guardian spirit of the woods. Yes, if you have woodwives, it's a bit dangerous to go hunting out in the forest.
Yeah.
Unless you bring them gifts. But
Yeah,
then that's an old superstition.
Well, that's why I spend my time on the boat.
A sailor you are.
Yeah, I do a bit of fishing.
Yes, did you catch the fish that we had just now?
I may have. I'm not sure.
That's very nice. I'll look at the others.
Considering what the father just brought up here, have you ever heard of such a thing as women being found in the woods? Perhaps to marry the wayward middle son or anything like that.
Well, I mean, I've heard some stories about women in the woods. It's kind of like the one I just told you, which is a little bit, But yeah, I've heard some stories about different things, whatnot like that. Never seen anything myself, but
Yeah.
I don't suppose our friend Albert, he was asking about the same things.
Well, Albert was mostly asking questions about. Well, he was interested in the Eklovs. He was interested in the castle, families, that kind of stuff. I don't remember him asking too much about fairy tales.
Yeah,
But
historians can be like that. They tend to just focus on, the factual history, not necessarily the legends.
yeah. Well, I hope you find your friends. I've got to head out. My wife's probably wanting to know where I'm at.
Not
Right.
taking off with the woodwife, I suppose.
Oh no. My wife could take on anything. Let me tell you something. She's a hell of a woman, that lady is.
Tough Swede. I have heard about these women.
Yeah.
Icelandic women could give them a run for their money, though.
I don't know anything about that. He just laughs and says, "Y'all have a great evening. You take care now."
Thank
Just
you.
sitting around.
Yeah.
So once we're alone, be like, that's interesting. I'd suggest that if you're going to do any hunting, you take a couple of good Swedish kroner with you and offer it to any sexual, seductive woman that shows up in the woods.
Well, I believe that if these stories are believed or these annotations are to be believed, it seems like something definitely out there.
Yes,
Whether it would
well,
have
They're,
any interest in me is another question.
they're not, at least the legends say they're not really dangerous unless you're harming the woods or you're hunting, you know, their friends.
well,
Legends
Oh,
say they
I
sometimes,
won't go birding if that's what you're worried about.
yeah, I think there are certain species of birds that they are supposed to be, you know, close to, and deer, I think. But I don't know. This is just, we're just speculating, of course. Uh, Things that we've learned over the years from the various folklore books. Most of it is nonsense, but
well, the
we've
woodsmen
seen some
hereabout have
things.
been having peculiar events in the forest for about as long as Albert's been missing. And Albert went up to the castle. I wonder if he didn't stir something up that's needs to be put back.
Yes,
Uh,
we should definitely talk to Emily and
Emily.
Emily,
Emily Lindquist. See what she remembers of the
yeah.
old days.
As we've seen before, there seem to be two things that are wrong, and it's not clear how they're related to each other, but they probably ultimately are. For some reason, the old families of this town have been unreasonably well off for a couple of generations. And the question is, I mean, if Albert did go into the ruins of the castle and fall through into some sub-basement, he'll not have survived 3 weeks. So there's no salvaging him, but uh, we should go to the castle when the light is good,
Yeah.
which means it might be too late today.
Yes, we should
But if
leave.
the old lady's in the park,
Yeah, I wouldn't want to leave until the morning. That gives us the most daylight to work with. We don't want to be stuck out there come nightfall, I think. Um,
We should
Okay.
obtain some rope, I would say, just in case.
some rope.
Yes, in case we have to climb over the ruins and secure ourselves so that we don't fall.
I don't know how. I mean, I'm sure somewhere in the carriage or in among our packs we have rope.
It would be easy to obtain. So,
Are there shops here in addition to
uh,
the pretty houses?
there's on the basic end of the spectrum. Yeah,
Like a general store.
general store kind of thing. Yeah, blacksmith, that kind of stuff.
We'll find rope. Yeah.
Yeah, you can find rope. It's not a problem. Yeah. Okay. So you guys
But
want to
before
head out?
we, yeah,
Okay.
before we head out, um, Father, or I guess really any of you, I'm not familiar with these woodwives, but it sounds like you all may have at least a passing familiarity with them. I keep going back to the footnote in the book where it says that they found their spouses who could be these woodwives among the ruler of the forest's daughter. In the legends that you've heard, have you heard who is in charge of these woodwives? Or I
I don't
only
know.
ask. Oh, go on. I'm sorry.
The legends just seem to be kind of ambiguous like that. They're they're fairies that live in the woods, and there's a whole, genres of fairies that do various things, and I think they all might blend together in some way. I've never actually heard a reference to a king. Uh, we've heard of a queen. We've got one living in our backyard, but I don't know. It's just something I haven't run across. Um, Once again, it could all be nonsense. It could be something far more mundane.
True.
But yeah, it does sound like they're marrying into the kingdom of the forest.
But then as the Eklofs, several generations down, the late married into the forest folk, but then they suffered calamities and the family went into decline, whereas these other families suddenly prospered. You'd think that the family that married into the fairy folk would be the ones that were prospering.
Well, unless these are the sons or the generations down the road of the sons of the Eklofs who married into these. I mean, if the book was dated, or I think it said that the castle was built in the early 1500s, so I would presume that Eklov that their generations would be several hundred years old if they were these families.
The
Although,
question also would be is why are they cutting down trees? Are they cutting down
oh,
trees? Have they said that?
There
The
there is general logging in the area, yeah,
Yeah.
but it's small scale kind of kind of thing.
I mean, we've already
Not
encountered
necessarily.
mines where they were mining in places that they shouldn't have, and the spirits of the mountain got
Yes,
angry.
but I think that there's too big of a coincidence to the have this Albert fellow coming through, and around that same time, these things started happening. They've been logging here for years without any difficulty.
That's true. Well, we'll probably know more when we get to the castle. Just take,
Before, oh, go ahead.
just be careful when we're doing things, not to offend the Vaesen.
Before I go to bed, I do want to go check on the driver back at the clinic.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that just before I go to bed.
I'll go with you just to make, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So your plan is to check on the driver and then go to bed this evening.
Mhm.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, great. You guys can go check on the driver. He seems to be getting good care. It's gonna take him a while to get back on his feet, but he's gonna get better. So that's positive.
Wonderful.
Glad he wasn't killed, yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you guys go to your rooms and go through whatever it is your nightly ritual is. And you all lay down to have a good sleep. Eric, in your room, you're lying there, uh, and in the quiet, you hear a drip.
Oh, there's no. I presume there's no sinks or indoor plumbing at this point. Yeah.
No.
So get up and go over to the window and make sure that it's tight. Does it look like it's raining outside?
You look outside, it doesn't look like it's raining. Looks like the wind is up a little bit, but other than that, it's doing okay. And as you're checking the window, you hear another little drip. And you start to look around and you find a little puddle of some kind of black, gooey ichor on the floor. It's not a very big pile, it's just a little pile on the floor. And you look up and you can see where it's dripping from above you.
Our room's on the top floor. I guess this is multi-level.
It's multi-level. So the bottom floor is occupied by the family of the tavern owners as well as the main public area, the bar and whatnot. You're on the next floor up, so the first floor.
Okay.
So there must be something above you.
I first would reach out and just put a little bit on my fingers and rub it between my fingers to see if it's oily, if it's sticky, if
It's got kind of like a stickiness to it. It's
okay.
gooey. If you smell it, oh my God, it's terrible. It's like rotten potatoes kind of smell.
You definitely wipe it off. Is there any attic entrances in my room?
Not in your room, no.
Okay. Then
No.
I'll probably go out to the hallway. If there's enough light, if not, I presume there's like a lantern or a candle or something that I can light in my room.
Yeah.
Go out into the hallway and just start looking around to see if I can find anything that would lead up to the attic.
Yeah. So you can go down to the end of the hallway opposite of where you came up, and you can find a door which has a small set of stairs, which looks like it goes up into the attic.
Okay. Whoever's room is closest to that, of all the companions, I'll knock on that door.
Okay. Let's see. That would be Asa's.
Also, you hear a rapping.
Like I kind of wake up, kind of startled, like, oh, what
Also,
is the noise?
it's Eric.
Oh,
I'm sorry to wake you, but come out here for a second.
oh, yes, I'll put on a shawl and head over.
Um, I'll explain. There's something dripping from my ceiling. It's not water. It's some black foul ichor liquid. It seems to be coming from upstairs, up in the attic above my room. I want to go check it out, but I don't feel comfortable going by myself. Do you think we should get the others, or?
Uh, well, I mean, I'm happy to go with you. If you feel, necessary, we can wake the others, but it may cause quite a ruckus if all of us are
That's true.
going up to the attic.
Well, let's go up and check just quickly. And if we see anything, we can get everybody else.
All right, and I'll grab a candle.
Okay. This is a pretty narrow staircase, so you can only go single file. Who would like to go first?
I'll go first.
Go first, okay. You start up the stairs, and it's filled with cobwebs and whatnot. And the closer you get to the top, the colder it gets. Unusually cold. So much so you can actually see your breath in front of you. And when you get to the top, there is another small doorway which is standing there. And you have this feeling of kind of like static electricity on your person as you're standing there in front of this door. Both of you can feel this.
I think I would still reach out, try to see if the door's unlocked, and then open it up if it is.
Yeah. Yeah. The door is unlocked, so you can open it up. When you open up the door, there's not a lot of light, but you've got a little bit which illuminates in, and there's enough that you can see a chair just over across from you, and there apparently is someone sitting in that chair.
Um, Hello? I'm sorry to disturb you.
There's no sound coming from him.
All right, so we can tell it's a man.
Yes.
Um, I'll take a step in, look back at Osa, and then say again, "Excuse me, sir. I'm sorry to bother you. There was something dripping. We just came up to check."
Um, the closer you get to him, you can get more of that odor that you smelled downstairs. It's a lot stronger up here. Uh, it smells a lot like death.
Hmm.
And the closer you get to this man, you can see that there's something moving on him. And with you being maybe say 6 feet from him, you can also easily see that there is a branch which has come through the window all the way across the room into the back of his head.
Sir, are you hurt? I'm gonna investigate a little closer to see where the branch is entered into him.
Yeah, it's right in the back of his skull, and if you look around to his face, it's come out of the front of his face.
Oh my
He
God.
is
What?
clearly dead. It looks like he's been here for a bit.
When you say the branch, is the branch like coming in through a window or
Yeah,
okay,
there's
so
a
it's like
little small window over on the side.
Is the
I
window broken?
Yes, the window pane is broken. The branch is right straight through it.
Oh my God.
I think we should get the others.
Yeah, and perhaps yeah. Let's get the others. This man is dead. I am just gonna look at the like ichor. Or is it? Does it look like blood, like dried blood to me, or
Being a doctor yourself, looking at this man, he seems to be in a state of decomposition. You would guess that he's been here about a month.
how have they not found this man? There may be some kind of conspiracy here. Let's get the others and let them know.
Yeah, as quietly as we can to wake up the others.
Okay.
I'll wake up Father and Father Nystrom. So sorry to wake you. That there's something very strange and disturbing we found up in the attic. We're waking the others now as well.
You're on mute, Tom.
Yes, of course, of course. Let me get dressed.
And I'll
Oh,
I'll kind of knock on Torrens and Oscar's rooms, waking them up, telling them the same thing.
Yeah,
And then
I'll get up, I'll get dressed, I'll get um Gustav awake.
I'm gonna go back upstairs once I've woken up Father Nystrom, and I'm gonna collect like a sample of the ichor that's coming out of him in like a little vial.
Okay.
And just investigate like if there's any other wounds. Can I tell like how old he is and features like that, or is he so decomposed at this point?
He's a little bit past it. but looking at like his style of dress, you would say that he's at least middle-aged, if not a little bit older.
Okay.
Looking at that.
He doesn't so happen to have the other half of a torn
Second
letter
half
in
of-
any of his pockets.
Why, yes, he does, actually.
Uh-huh.
No, it's Albert.
Sitting right in front of him. So right in front of him is the second half of the letter. There is also a gold coin minted in the 17th century.
I have made a terrible mistake in coming to Svartviken, and I do not want you to make the same mistake in getting here. A terrible curse rests on the Eklov family castle. The place is now a ruin. I was visiting the castle. It is far into the woods, and when I got there, I saw someone had put up a warning poles facing the ruin. So I kept as if to keep something inside. My errand was to learn the fate of the Eklov family. They disappear suddenly from our history books after the Russian War, but I know that at home in the castle there were still members of the family. My visit to the castle ruins revealed that the fate of the castle and the village are inevitably intertwined, and the fall of one will be the downfall of the other. They just don't know that yet. My own destiny has been sealed along with the village. Maybe I brought it with me from the ruins, but I think it has always been in the town, and I have at most brought it to life. I bid you farewell, and I hope that this letter arrives along with the book in memory of the many lively conversations we had in the castle garden. Respectfully, your friend, Albert Nielsen.
So he didn't want us to come here.
No, and now we're here. Now we were mixed up in all this.
Mailed the book.
Yeah.
That is the question.
That's the question.
Father Nisorum, you carefully unwrapped the paper around it. Was the writing of the address in the same hand as the writing of the letter?
Honestly, I didn't
And
think
the
to even
marginalia?
Perhaps we brought the book with us.
We certainly
could've-
brought the book. I
That would make sense.
assumed I was reading the other margins to see if there was anything else about the Lord of the Woods and things.
I don't recall
so-
the paper itself, but yes, we have the book.
Let's just call Frisk. Oh. Yes. So
It was
he had to have addressed the package because there's nothing in the letter that would tell anyone else where to send it.
Yeah.
So he prepared the wrapping paper before this happened. But that doesn't explain why he was sitting alone in the special chair in the attic. I'm going to step out and see and trace the tree branch to the tree that did him in.
and I'm going to do last rites.
Let's both go out Sigurdsson with the dogs in case there's trouble. I want to see how far
Yes.
this branch had to reach.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I don't know what much good guns and dogs will do against trees, but
No.
the people of this place, maybe.
Yeah. So you go out and you look, and the branch, it's impossible how this branch went through the window and into the back of this man's head. Like you can't explain it.
Like, is the
Is it
tree a
attached
fair
to a
distance
tree?
away?
Oh yeah, it's attached to a tree. Yeah, it is. It's quite, but it's still quite impossible. Like you've never seen a tree
Yeah. It had
grow
to
that
go-
fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, and know exactly where it's going.
Certainly. Yeah. It's April. Are the trees budded yet?
It looks like they've started to come out. Yeah, or
Probably
just
a lot
barely.
of pine too, correct?
Yeah, there's some pine, there's some ash. Yeah.
Probably an
Uh,
oak. Maybe
and
that.
was the tavern like at the edge of the clearing of the town so that the tree is part of the forest? Or is this tree in the yard of the tavern
It's kind of in
and
the
all by
yard.
itself?
Yeah, it's in the
So
yard
it's
by itself.
impossible, it's conceivable that nobody in the tavern comes to the attic very often, but it's not
Cobwebs
possible that
everywhere.
nobody noticed a tree branch that 3.5 weeks ago suddenly extended into the back of the tavern. Like that's something that would be visible to everyone passing, which means the townsfolk are not as friendly as we thought.
Hmm.
Right.
It's the fate of
Yeah,
the
would
castle
it
and the fate of the
seem
town.
would it seem very obvious, like from outside the building, that this tree branch is like pushed into the window to the building?
Yeah, kind of the way I imagine it is that the tree is fairly close to the tavern
Uh-huh.
itself, actually.
So does it kind of look like maybe during a storm the branch broke loose and went through the window? I mean, it's preposterous that it could have done that, but
Hmm.
so that from the ground, would it look like, unless you were looking at it, you wouldn't even notice that
You guys see it because you're looking for it.
tree is
Otherwise, you
kind of up
probably
against the house? Yeah.
it's up against the house and there's other limbs in that vicinity. They should have realistically they should do proper maintenance on this tree because it's eventually going to cause more problems. But they don't. They haven't done that.
Is there anything else in the room around the body? Like,
Yeah.
was he doing a ritual or something?
No. It looks like that where he was sitting was at a writing desk, uh, doing writing. He did have that gold coin with him. You do find his suitcase is in the room as well. So all his belongings are with him. Um, and there is also a dirty canvas sack. And inside the sack is a rotten, or two halves of a rotten wooden pole and a moss green horse skull. So it's a horse
That would be
skull
one of
with
the
One of the protective wards.
He took down the protective ward. What?
Why would he have
God's
brought
name
it back to
that
the
is?
tavern, though?
It's a souvenir.
Or you just didn't know any better.
This letter suggests he had an idea, thinks he'd made a terrible mistake.
Oh, good point.
Perhaps he loosened or removed or even turned the ward to get into the ruins, and the thing that came out brought the skull and post back down with it. Whatever came out of Eckcliffe Castle. Oh dear, Albert, Albert, Albert. So, how do we talk to the innkeeper about this in the morning? Do we wait until the morning? How late is it?
it's not too late just yet. I'd put it 10 o'clock.
Oh, so there's still people in the tavern.
Yeah, there might still be some people. Yeah, 10, 11 o'clock.
Well, I think we're going to need to contact the local doctor and get him up here, get her up here to conduct the autopsy. Not sure if that's a thing in 1860, but at least to get the body and bury it
Are we
in the
sure
freezer.
that the people of the town, including the innkeeper, don't know more than what we think they know? Maybe we shouldn't say anything. At
Quite
least not
suspicious,
yet.
Father. They've been nothing but hospitable to us so far. Do you think that somehow they're involved in
The,
killing this man
the,
and leaving him here for over a month?
the one thing that I can't quite wrap my mind around is package, in the letter. I have a book in my hand. I write a letter. I put the letter in the book. I wrap it in wrapping paper. I write the address on it, and I put it in the mail. And yet our sender is right here, dead in a chair, with
With the
half
other
of
half
the
of the
letter. I think Oscar came close to what I wanted to say. It's who wrapped it in paper, who addressed it, and who put it in the mail.
All very good questions.
Well,
I'm
with enough of the with enough of the letter to get us to come here, and not the part of the letter that said "don't come here."
mhm.
Remember what I said about possibly a trap. Whatever was in that castle may have had a beef with us, as they say,
Well, but he
or
knew
intrigued.
Andre Lynn. He chatted with him in the castle garden. He took the book out of the library.
Yes,
So
24 years ago.
So the
Perhaps
Eckcliffe
someone-
Castle ghost couldn't have known about any of that.
Perhaps someone wanted us to come to solve this mystery, and that's why they ripped off the part of the letter saying not to come, but they still wanted to alert someone to whatever is happening here. He did mention that someone has set up warding totems to prevent whatever evil is in there from getting out. Perhaps there's an ally here in the town that wanted us to find him.
Perhaps
We need to speak to the old woman in the park.
Mhm.
perhaps Mr. Jacobson, you seem to have a little bit more knowledge of the occult. What sort of ward could that have been? What could it have been holding back?
I mean, potentially anything. Any malevolent spirit or any, Vaesen of that matter. I believe that most, if not all, have their own weaknesses and methods to keep things out. Can I see if I have any knowledge specifically around, the wooden pole and the mossy, the green moss head?
You could do a learning roll
Okay.
for that.
And of course, none.
Oh, shoot.
I mean, I think you are correct that all these three pieces are part of the ward. I suspect that maybe if we go up to the castle, we'll find that there are more of these on a complete pole or around the castle, and this is what was keeping it out. But as to what was being kept in, I don't know. I haven't experienced something specifically like this before.
We could take the skull and the post to the castle and put them back where they belong, but the thing that got out isn't inside anymore, I fear. And it might even, whether or not the father is correct that this was personal to us, certainly the attack on the carriage was personal to us. Certainly the thing that's mucking about in the forest wanted to interfere with us.
It might have some awareness that we're possibly the only threat to it.
Yes, well, let's hope it's right.
I would suggest this evening, if we're going to rest at all again, everybody have their confession heard, and I will pronounce a blessing over you, which will give you extra dice to roll.
Okay, so there is a practical purpose.
Yes, it works in this game.
Yeah, so you all
So
can.
go
Okay,
ahead.
go ahead. Y'all can, I was going to just kind of advance things if you wanted. Do you want to do something else?
So we're not going to tell anyone about finding the dead body in the attic?
I think maybe wait a little. I don't know. What do you think?
While I do not want to have any more leaking into my room, I agree with the father. This out of caution, we might want to wait at least until we talk to a few more people and have a better idea of what's going on.
Yeah, I can't. I'm trying to imagine a reason why they would leave the corpse there.
Yeah.
If they wanted to do him in, why wouldn't they just go bury him out in the woods?
Mhm.
Why leave him here for us to find?
Yeah, they might not know.
As what when we're all up there, do we still feel the cold and the static?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very weird, creepy feeling up in this attic. When you
Well,
leave
if
the
I
attic space, it goes away. But when you come back, there's something not right about that attic space.
Is it also possible that the rest of the townspeople something put some type of ward or illusion over this so they may not even know it's up there, but we with our ab capabilities can see it.
possible,
I
some
would
sort of
say that
glamour.
the townsfolk seem almost supernaturally incurious as to how things work around here. And that doesn't seem like anybody who lives here ever goes anywhere else, which is true of many small towns, but it might be exceptionally true here. You know, if for nothing else, class envy, people know where the rich people got their money or have at least stories about it. There's something that is confusing people. I think you're right. Also, no matter how big a conspiracy is, this gold coin is probably worth a pretty penny. Is it inscribed? Does it have a Swedish ruler on it? Is it marred in any way, or is it just a gold coin from a certain era?
Yeah, it's a gold coin. Like I said, it's a 17th century gold coin. I didn't look up
Oh
Swedish
no.
monarchs to,
Yeah.
but it it looks genuine to you. It's got the weight. It feels like gold. It's got some dirt on it, so it's kind of a really dirty coin, like it'd been dug out of the ground.
Buried treasure.
Might even be part of the ward.
It could
Maybe
be.
maybe there's a coin under each of the posts. Well, it'll make a fine souvenir. Um, so we'll all go to our rooms, play mum, and tomorrow we'll go to the park and talk to the old lady who remembers the Eklövs. And then we'll happen to notice the broken window from outside and call the innkeeper's attention to it.
That's
Do we want to take the broken pieces of the ward into one of our rooms so that it's not with the body and we can take it back to the castle?
that's
I mean, if
perhaps
we leave it up
correct.
here, the townsfolk will deal with it. Do you feel comfortable? Eric, do you want to stay in my room? I frankly, Hulda and I were actually sleeping on a blanket on the floor. These beds are too soft for me.
Yeah, if that's okay. It's a little disturbing in my room and honestly smells a bit. So yes, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, let's do that. And then we can discover our friend's body tomorrow in broad daylight with witnesses around.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see if that
Oh,
strange sensation is there during the day as well.
Now it doesn't in my recollection seem like a thing that would be done by our first guest, which was the wood wife, although it does involve a tree. They're usually not violent creatures. They'll They'll cause wolves and other animals to attack you.
I think it's time to start reconsidering your hypothesis.
Something else, something much worse.
Oh, whatever it
I
is.
think, I mean, it's something that was in the ruins of Eccliffe Castle and is now free to roam. And it's possible it will continue to expand its terrain if we don't nip it in the proverbial springtime bud.
He said that it was intrinsically linked, the castle and the village. What if
And the castle,
the Eklovs had trapped a thing there that they were forcing to give them gold? And now that it is broken loose, it's going to rain down hell upon the village as well. I'm completely out of my depth. I don't recall ever reading any such legend, but he brought that gold coin. Maybe there's a whole stash of gold coins up there. And that's where our rich people are getting their money from. Oof.
all right, well,
Okay.
sweet dreams, everyone.
Say your prayers.
Okay. So I think this is a good point to close it out for the evening, and we will pick it up at breakfast next time.
Our players included Morgan Llewellyn, David Gassaway, Troy Wheeldryer, Tyler Hudak, and myself with Julian Arbaugh as the game master. We have a Discord server where you can chat with other members. You can set up private games. You can learn the finer arts of gameplay and game mastering. We provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Spotify, Podbean, or iTunes. Support for the show is provided by our patrons who are listed in the closing credits. If you would like to show us your appreciation, please visit our Patreon page, or you can use the thanks button just below the stream. Like, share, like, share, and subscribe to our channel and punch the bell icon for updates on our latest shows. And leave us some comments. We enjoy reading them and answer any questions you might have. This is Thom Raley, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the universe of Scandinavian mythology and the Vaesen role-playing game. Until next time, good luck, good gaming.